So I go back to quotas. What are quotas? Back before 99, every country implemented the quota system. What this meant is each country could only import X amount of units of whatever. Clothing, cotton, polyester, cars, lumber, eyeglass, plastics, you name it. There was a quota for every alarm clocks. When I was growing up, I remember having an alarm clock that read made in the USA. So every single thing you could possibly purchase, including food, fell under the quota system for every country in the world. This is why before 2000, people could live a very comfortable life with two incomes making minimum wage. You could buy a home, you could go on vacation, you could live life. What happened when quotas ended? What this means is there was absolutely zero monitoring, policing, protecting. That's what they call quotas, is protectionism. That's the wording they use. Of product coming into your country, wherever that country is. Now, how does that work? Well, in North America, we now don't have to pay minimum wage, affordable minimum wage, to manufacturers of cars, of clothing, farming, what else? Anything. Nail manufacturers. Nail, I don't mean nails, I mean hammering anything that needs to get made. There is absolutely no limit of how much of that you can import. How does this impact you? Me, everybody. The reason fast fashion exists is because quotas no longer do. Now, I'm going to use the example of my industry because I know it inside out, but you can apply it to any industry. After they took away quotas, textiles has become the second largest pollutant in the world after oil. To give you an idea of how serious the impact of no quotas is. Because what the world has done is created North America, first world continent, to be the ultimate consumer of everything. Now, clothing falls into one of the largest things because, we all have a lot of clothes. However, so New York used to be the manufacturing hub in the US, especially for clothing. Over the last 50 years, I think it is, but massive in the last 25, the garment industry, which was literally 95% of where the American-made product was made for clothing, has shrunk to under 10%. In fact, I think it's 5%, which I feel is it's very sad because New York being the mecca of almost everything, especially fashion, it was the only hub, the garment district, where the top designers had their offices, and they worked from Carolina Herrera to Ralph Lauren to, Diamond Fustenberg was in the meatpacking district and still is. But that's also Cynthia Rowley. That's where they got, so their offices were down the street from the factory that was making their garments. And Fashion Week also happened once upon a time in the garment district. And I remember when they moved Fashion Week, it's over a decade now that it's moved. But it was I was living in New York at that time. It was a sad thing for me because it was the only city in the world where the designer, the manufacturer, the fabric suppliers, and a world-renowned fashion week would happen, all within the same 4 blocks, 3 avenues. It's quite spectacular. Anyway, once quotas went away, like I said, I think it's about, we'll get you the exact numbers and we'll put it in the link, but I think it's about 5 to 7% now happens. Why is that?